Namaste. Welcome you all to the legal podcast on the theme Freedom from Violence, Safety and Security of Women, with a special focus on health and hygiene of women. Through this podcast, we're actually trying to create the legal awareness, break the silence, and strengthen the understanding that violence is not limited only to the physical harm, but it is also applicable to the neglect of health, denial of hygiene facilities, and lack of access to medical and psychological facilities. So, at this juncture, I would like to it's my immense pleasure to introduce our distinguished guest for today's episode. We are honored to have with us Ms. Nayonika, a seasoned development sector professional whose work strongly resonates with the core values of social justice, gender equality, and women's leadership. Nayonika brings with her rich experience in working towards girl-child education and advocating for the rights of women and girls from marginalized communities. What truly sets her work apart is her deep commitment to reaching the most unheard spaces, the crevices of communities where stories often remain invisible and voices remain silenced. She has consistently created safe, inclusive spaces that enable women and girls to speak, heal, and reclaim their dignity. An alumnus of Tata Institute of Social Science and Indian School of Business, Nayonika has contributed meaningfully to several respected institutions, including the Ministry of Women and Child Development Delhi and MV Foundation Hyderabad. She currently serves as a co-executive director at Voice for NGO, where she continues to work towards strengthening systems that support women and adolescents. In addition, she is part of the founding cohort of Seyogi Fellowship with certification in providing psycho-social support focused on adolescent mental health and is also a Women Emerging Fellow. Over the years, she has excelled in designing adolescent-centric programs as well as in training, mentorship, and capacity building, particularly in contexts where health, hygiene, and mental well-being intersect with gender-based violence. Beyond her professional commitments, Nayonika is a professional dancer, an avid reader, and someone who deeply values art as a medium of expression, reflecting her holistic approach to empowerment and healing. Nayonika ma'am, it's really our honor and pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
So I think your journey has been very beautiful and meaningful to align with our theme today. So to begin our conversation, ma'am, I think it would be better if we introduce about the role of Voice 4 relating to our theme.
Yes. So Voice 4 started in 2012, registered as Voice for Girls. And very interestingly, today's theme is the reason that Voice 4 started in the first place. A lot of times we have been asked, why do we work with children in school and not out of school? And that's because when girls receive information on health and hygiene and especially on menstruation, they negotiate to stay in schools, and that's what we found out. We want to tackle the system even before they drop out of the system, right? And that's where we come in. Three major reasons for which girls majorly dropped out was: one, menstrual health facilities in the schools. They either did not know what period is, what changes are happening in their body, when are they going to menstruate. The schools did not have enough facilities regarding water, sanitation, distribution of menstrual products. And second was, when they attained puberty, they faced a lot of challenge while going to the school. So if you go to a rural setting, maybe there's a school in my village till standard 8, but for 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, I have to go to some other village altogether for their transportation facility. Maybe I don't have. Maybe I have to walk 10 kilometers and go. Parents were scared girls will get attacked on the road, they will face sexual violence, and we know we put the honor in girls. So that's when again the parents started asking the girls to drop out, and we really wanted the girls to voice their own opinion, and that's where we come in, right? Change happens with one voice at a time, and when a girl finds a voice, the world around her begins to change. So really tackling all of these issues is where Voice started, where we felt that knowledge is very important, and if we provide that information, they are going to fight for themselves, also for their friends and family members and community members.
Ma'am, is menstruation still a taboo in India?
Huge taboo in India. I often have this conversation sitting in boardrooms or sitting in AC conference halls, and some when I say menstruation is still a taboo, I often get a response that no, I'm able to manage it well, or in my family, my father knows or my brother knows, but we are talking just about maybe 10% of the population, or say 15% of the population, who are comfortable in talking about menstruation and periods openly, where we are able to ask our father or brothers to get us sanitary pads, or we are able to take leaves in our workspace saying, I'm having menstruation, I have my periods, and I need leave because I'm in pain. How many of us can really do that is the question. And that's just in the urban setting where we consider ourselves to be more literate. So now just seep down to rural settings, to tribal settings, to places where people are probably, women are still using cloth pads, and they are not cloth pads made by some fancy startup. They are made by at home with the rugs which are available to them, most of the time not properly washed, no hygiene is maintained, because it is still a taboo. They can't show the cloth, they can't ask for products, they can't do a lot of things, they can't ask for leaves, they can't miss work. So if, until and unless we are able to say the word openly, say it in front of everyone, ask for our rights with dignity, I don't think it's not a taboo.
Ma'am, WHO has recognized that menstruation is just not a hygiene issue, but it's a health issue.
Yeah.
What do you do upon on that, ma'am?
It is definitely a health issue, and I want to paint a picture over here. If a woman is menstruating, what are the areas does it get affected? Does it get, her school gets affected? Absolutely yes. That's exactly where, again, voice started off with, where we saw a lot of girls dropping out of schools because they have attained their periods. Even now in 2025, if you go to any, and for the lack of better ways to say it, any rural tribal areas, you go to government schools, you go to any part of India for that matter, and government schools often have this list on the board where they say, what are my rankings, right? My standard 8th, how many boys, how many girls? Standard 9, how many girls, how many boys? You will see till standard 6, there are higher number of girls than boys. And this is something which I've noticed in 95% of government schools. 7 starts dropping, 8 starts dropping, 10, it's cute. When I was in Tripura, Sefai Jala district, and I went to such government schools. We were part of teacher training over there, and I went to the principal's office to see this. And really, standard 10 had one girl versus 47 boys who were sitting in that. I went to standard 11 and 12th. 11th and 12th, they really struggled. There were 6 girls in the whole school in standard 11. And even then, out of those 6, 3 were already married. So even your periods really kind of hold your entire life. It's not just the school that you're not going. People say, okay, they didn't go to the school, then what? In most families, they'll be dropped out of the school. Once they drop out, in a lower middle class family or below poverty line families, they have an extra mouth to feed. So now if I have an extra mouth to feed at home, I will probably just send her off to another home. And that's where child marriages start. If you are menstruating, you have your periods, which means you're in a childbearing age, which again really implies that at an age of 14, 15, you can give birth. And that's where teenage pregnancies are coming into space, because they get married, they have all the rights, in a conjugal relationship, marital rape is not considered. So then you are getting teenage pregnancies. At the age of 15, you're giving birth. It doesn't stop. You can't go back to schools, you don't go back to colleges. A lot of time, the schools will not take you back because you are married, and they think that it is a bad face for any other girls studying in the school. Now that's just where it all starts. And once you move up ahead the ladder, even if you get education and you say, I have joined a workforce, how are you going to manage your periods? You have a major board meeting and you say, okay, I got my periods today and I can't come in. So where do you really start? So it is not just a hygiene issue, because if we say hygiene means how am I going to manage my periods? Do I have pads? Do I have menstrual cups? Do I have water? Do I have washrooms? That's what hygiene is. We don't even have that. But it becomes a health issue when are you able to go and ask for help? Are your doctors able to help you? Because so many girls go through painful periods and it's just said as it's a pain you have to take all your life. But is she getting proper treatment? Is she getting medicines? Are girls open enough to go to a gynec without judgment, without prejudice, without being a taboo topic? Most of the times girls don't go to gynecs because the first question the gynec will ask is, are you sexually active? And that's not, it has that nothing to do with how your menstrual pains, but that's a question that they start with. So you feel like you don't have the space to talk, you don't have any agency or rights, and especially in terms of adolescence where there is no agency and you're asked to drop out of schools, married off, bear children. Where is the agency at the end of your life, right?
I think once this hygiene part is neglected, has led to a lot
Yeah.
of fertility-related problems,
Yeah.
cancers, and
Yeah.
I think still people are not aware of it.
They're not aware, they don't talk about it. Like, just the word periods is such a taboo even now. We feel that we are in 2025, we don't have those pratha jisko we should say, like the things that we should do, where girls were asked to stay in a separate room or sleep on a separate cot, not enter the kitchen, don't do this and that. We feel that we are not in that space because probably most of us come from, who are hearing this, come from a privileged background. But if you just open the news, you will still find girls who are asked to sleep outside the house, not asked to sleep on bed, sleep on floor. And so many of them have fallen sick because of that. Imagine in a winter where there's 1 degree, 2 degrees, you're sleeping on floor and somewhere outside and you're just given a rag. How will you feel? And that's a health issue at the end.
How does lack of access to menstrual hygiene products actually affects the woman's dignity, education, and safety?
I think first we have to broaden our idea about what are the menstrual hygiene products. What's taught to us, even me when I was a child, is sanitary pad is a go-to product, right? And we grow up thinking that, okay, sanitary pad is something which I go to a shop, depending on my flow, I will pick one up. The shopkeeper will wrap it in a paper, then in a black polythene, then give it to me as if I'm taking a bomb outside, and then bring it home. And then again, I have to hide it from my father, my brother, and just use it very cautiously, because let's come to the point, sanitary pads are not cheap, they are costly. And recently when I went to a store, I don't use a sanitary pad, but my friend wanted, and I just went to a store to check what the prices are right now, and I was baffled. If this is the cost I have to pay, I'll be, I don't know, broke by the beginning of the month. But that's where we are coming. Sanitary pads are not very cheap, to be very honest. So now we are coming to a family which really does not have money to put at least 3 meals on their plate, right? Now, here, if I have to manage my periods, what do? I come down to a cloth pad, which is made from an old sari, an old rag. There's nothing wrong in it. But what's wrong in it is how were we, again, maintaining the hygiene around it. They're supposed to be washed in cold water, dried in sun so that they are sterilized. Now, because there is a taboo, I am not able to dry it in the sun. So where will I dry it is behind my house, under some clothes. They'll still be damp, which means bacteria's feeding ground is that. And these are the two commonly products, which are one, not great because of the hygiene issues, two, Great, but then again, how many can afford it? And now comes to your tampons and your menstrual cups, which, by the way, most women don't know about. If they also know, they don't know how to use it. And if they know how to use it, they are scared. And the scare comes from two things. One, it has always been told that anything that inserts your vagina, your hymen will break and you're not virgin anymore. So this is a most common question that we get asked in our sessions, that will I still get married if I use this product? Will I still be a virgin? Because there's so much conversation around that. We don't tell people what is virginity. What is it? It's just a hymen break, which can happen even if you are playing a sport, even if you are a dancer. Like, I'm sure I wouldn't have, because I've been dancing since I was 4 years of age. So any rigorous activity. Now, if you're able to tell girls that how to utilize these products, that's when you start actually, you get your agency. You get to write, you have to practice your agency. If you're a swimmer, you can't use a sanitary pad. It will not work in the water. If you're a dancer, it will not work. It moves. If you play sports, it will not work. Tampons work, menstrual cups work, but sanitary pad does not work. If my workspace does not have sanitary pads, and I know that it's always a burden and onus on me to carry it for myself, am I making my workspace safe? Am I making it inclusive? No, we are not. If my washrooms don't have proper water, proper sanitation, even dustbins for that matter, to dispose of the sanitary pads, which most school lack, then am I making that school a safe space for people to come in? And I think here I want to bring in one policy brief that Voice for Girls wrote last year, and it was launched with Echidna. The policy brief was mainly based on two things. One was on our secondary research, and the other one was based on our own practices that we have been doing in schools and colleges. And one thing really came out is menstruation kind of builds your whole life. Your whole life is kind of tied up to it. And if safe spaces are not created, people will not talk about periods, people will not break the taboos, they will never know that the menstrual blood is not dirty, they will not know the process behind it, they will not know what products to use. And if you're not able to create that safe space, then no matter how many products you launch, you will not be able to bring the full utilization of it. Products are there, knowledge is not there. And how to use even more, that is not there. So it all ties up together.
Ma'am, what are the legal obligations on the government in maintaining the safe sanitation and menstrual hygiene?
Um, if you just want to talk about your right to live with dignity, just go back to your basic constitutional rights. When we say right to life, right to live with dignity, what is right to live with dignity, right? Like, what is dignity? If you are constantly worrying if your clothes are stained, are you living with dignity? And even if I just talk about people or menstruators who are working as laborers, who have to pick up heavy materials, carry them on their head, go around. Does not matter you're on your periods or not on your periods, because they're daily wage earners. One day of earning gone if you say, I'm going to take a rest. Is that right to live with dignity? Then where are you bringing the concept of right to life? And what does it mean for women, right? Because for women, menstruation is a major thing. On an average, a girl menstruates for at least 60 days a year minimum. Depends on what kind of cycle you have. So that 60 days, which is technically your 2 months of your full year, are you just going to sit at home? Are you going to say, okay, I give up? I can't access footpaths. I can't access public washrooms. I can't go to office. I cannot go for my favorite hobby. I can't swim. I can't dance. Then where? And really, under RTE also, like right to education, one of the clauses is that your schools should have proper washroom, water facility, and disposable methods.
these three, even if you're not keeping sanitary pads, which is also kind of mandated, even if you're not keeping, these three are super crucial.
But again, if you just go around schools, urban or rural, and you check how many of them have that in a working manner. You have a washroom, you may not have water. You may have water, you may not have a proper washroom. You have all the two, you don't have a dustbin. And that really affects how you are able to practice that. And these two have been there, but recently again the government is coming up with the menstrual health policy, which in 2023 I think they did a draft where again Voice was one of the organizations which picked up recommendations from the schools. We asked our girls, what do you want in the school? And the demands were simple. We want water, we want dustbin, we want washroom. We want just these three things. And we collated that and we sent to the Ministry of Health saying that these are the voices from Telangana across tribal and rural places, and this is what the girls want. So I think if that policy is implemented at its best, there'll be a lot of changes that we see. One definitely is regarding better sanitation. Second is to your access. As I said, even till a couple of months, years ago, we did not see tampons in stores. Even now, if we see tampons in stores, they are just one product which we see. Like it's just one of the kind. If you go online, you will notice that, okay, tampons can be from extra small to extra large, just like pads, and how you utilize it. So access to, say, different kinds of menstrual health products. Third is the knowledge of how to utilize it. You may have access, you don't know how to use it, does not matter. If you are still thinking that, okay, inserting a tampon is going to make me lose my virginity, does not help. So correct information and knowledge. Third is how your environment is. If I'm in a college, what is my environment? Is my college pro menstruators? Like, do I have proper washrooms, water, sanitation, pads, things like that? If I'm in a workforce, can I take a period leave? Can I say I'm going to not come to office today because I'm bleeding and I have extra immense pain? Can I be honest about it instead of just saying, oh, I have a headache and I have a sick leave, can I take that? And or maybe for places like Voice, right? Because we have extensive travel. We go to rural India, we go to tribal areas, we take public transport and we travel a lot. So can I say that, okay, this person had to take, say, from 40 kilometer, 50 kilometer bus travel and she's on her periods. Can I just replace her with somebody else for that one day so that she gets rest? Am I able to do that? So if I am, then my workspace is kind of acknowledging it, that people have different needs and that is something which we need to follow. And stigma, I think, just saying the word period is so tabooed even now. And that also applies to your schools and colleges. Like, I remember there was a time I was writing my test, I was in school, and I was in tremendous pain. And it was, I think, an English test or something like that. And we were just writing, and I told my teacher that I can't write, I am in pain. And she's like, but it's for everyone, everybody gets it, so just suck it up and write your test. And that felt really bad for me, because then where am I going with this? So that kind of conversations becomes more pro, and that kind of becomes more acknowledged. And finally, your gender equality, equity is very much related to menstrual health. They are 50% at least of your population, if not more, and if you're not able to provide them with dignity, you're not able to provide them with a life where they're able to take their own decisions, choices, depending on when they want and where they want, that's not going to help you in the future. So again, I think with the menstrual health policy, all of these categories we are hoping are going to get opened up. Conversations are going to be easier, products are going to be on the shelf, knowledge is going to flow top to bottom, rather than expecting it to go from bottom to up.
Ma'am, as a part of this conversation, I have just few FAQs. So the first one is menstrual hygiene a legal right in India?
It is a legal right in India.
Are schools and colleges legally required to provide sanitation facilities for girls?
I think one which I already said, your national menstrual health policy is going to be the topmost one. It's still in the draft stage, but is going to be the other ones. Your Article 21 is again covers a lot of right to dignity. Your RTE Act covers your how you can have safe menstruation inside schools and education systems.
Is menstrual discrimination to be considered a form of a gender discrimination?
Menstrual discrimination has been created a lot of splash in the last couple of years, and we are glad that it is making. And it is definitely a form of gender discrimination, because the minute you deny menstrual rights to a woman, you're also denying her access to safe space, you're denying to education, denying to a violent-free environment. So all of this really ties up. And what's gender-based discrimination? It's discrimination based on your gender, and menstruation is sadly a sex thing. So yeah, it really adds on to it.
Apart from schools and colleges, our workplaces are also required to focus more on hygiene and sanitations for women.
They are, and with the conversation, not just with hygiene and sanitation, but also with the conversation around your period leaves,
Yes.
which are coming up. It has become one of the most important topics and policy level topics, right? Your workspace need to have a policy now which ensures safety of women.
Will this be focusing on the daily wage workers as well as other gig workers also?
Daily wage workers also, and gig workers also. So there are policy implications on that as well. In fact, your the period leaves that are coming up is again for the daily wage workers and the gig workers, as well as much as your people working in corporates. For them, you already have the sexual harassment at workplace, which again adds to them as well, but it's more, the IC is more prominent over here. So under IC, again, your right to dignity, a safe space, a safe environment really comes into play.
What legal action can be taken by a woman if the basic facilities are not provided to her?
You can always go up, complaint at a district court. You can ask for your rights. You can not, I mean, the initial stage will be to look into the policies that are there within your system. So a lot of organizations will have, they definitely have IC, but they will also have a gender body. And your gender bodies are responsible for picking up anything which comes under gender discrimination. So the first step is to definitely go to a gender body. If that does not get resolved, you can definitely go to your district courts. You can file a case, you can ask for your rights. Yeah.
Ma'am, as Constitution always speaks about special empowerment provisions for women and children. So anywhere, any government policies we speak about, it speaks about empowerment of women. How this menstruation is becoming an obstacle even today in 21st century?
We speak about empowerment from a very broad term. And when we speak about empowerment, we generally think about education, and we think about equal representation in any bodies, be it your panchayat, be it workforce, be it higher education, and things like that. With your menstruation coming into being, as I said, when there are really just, if you're 50% of your population is not able to access workforce, is not able to access streets, is not able to access your public spaces in the same way, then it has an implication on your empowerment also. Again, empowerment very loosely defined as women having a step forward, where they're able to access their rights and dignity. So bringing it back to all the previous things that we said, right? 60 days a year, really think through, 2 months a year. And if 2 months a year you're asked to sit at home, where the real empowerment is coming from? It's not. So to make that accessible, of course, safe spaces are extremely crucial. You have to create space.
Nayamika ma'am, first of all, I would like to congratulate on behalf of my entire team for doing such a wonderful job which is really, really enlightening for so many people
Thank you
around
so
you.
much.
And thank you so much. In spite of your busy schedule, you came all the way and you really enlightened so many people who are going to watch this podcast. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
on behalf
much.
of my entire team. Thank you so much.
Thank you.